Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was one of the best games of the decade, and with the highly anticipated Tears of the Kingdom right around the corner, I wanted to take a look back at the open world, story, and the many things Breath of the Wild brought to the world of Zelda. So first off, let's talk about the story. The open world of Hyrule is really overwhelming if you've never played a game of this caliber. And the first time I ever played Breath of the Wild, I honestly felt like a lost puppy. 100 years of Link sleeping must have given him the best sleep of all time, and it might even be a Guinness World Record for the longest nap. As soon as he wakes up, he heads out to the world of Hyrule, and you get a tutorial-like intro. You start picking up a bunch of tree branches and mushrooms. You meet the old man, and he tells you to go to a specific point in the area, and then some 4 shrines. It's then revealed that he's literally the king of Hyrule, but he's dead. After all that, he gives you the paraglider, and that is when I dropped the game. As a person who has never played a Legend of Zelda game, it wasn't linear at all, and it gave me such a hard time because I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know where I was supposed to start my journey, and I really did feel overwhelmed. And I didn't even know how to get more hearts, and when I found out, I made this video, and it's my most watched video. What the f? I ended up picking up the game again after a year or two, and I have to say, wow. Thanks to my streams and the various people who ended up showing up, I got to learn more of the game and what it had to offer. Once you get the paraglider, it is literally your own story. You can walk around Hyrule discovering the world, doing some shrines, or you could even head off to the castle and defeat Ganon himself. You know what it is? As soon as you get that paraglider, you can just go and beat the game. It's wild. Have you ever seen a speedrunner do it? It is insane. But at the end of the day, it's your own story. All right, Titus? It's my story.
This is it. This is your story.
So the game of Breath of the Wild can last over 40 hours. On Link's mission, he has to save Hyrule from the destruction Ganon has caused, and you have to save Princess Zelda from the castle. She's somehow trapped in the castle with him for over 100 years. A 100-year battle, yo. Link out here taking a nap and she out here destroying, I don't know. Most of the story in Breath of the Wild actually happened in the past while Link was sleeping. You do learn a lot of the story through memories which can be found throughout the map. These cutscenes help you better understand how Hyrule was before the arrival of Ganon and learn a lot more about the characters in the game. One of the things that happens is that when you're starting to do the main missions, you end up getting a bunch of pictures, and after you get all those pictures, you just have to go to the location where it is and you get that cutscene. Once you get rolling, the main story wants you to defeat 4 divine beasts and then head over to the castle. But the best part is that you decide what you want to do. After defeating the 4 divine beasts, you get a special ability that allows you to either fly up in the air whenever, you get a free life, a shield surrounding you, and a lightning attack. All of these moves help you in every single way, and especially when you fight Ganon. Collecting all 4 of these knock off half of Ganon's life once you go into the castle and you fight him, and it makes the fight a lot easier. The side quest is another thing that makes the game very enjoyable, and it gives it that replay value. My favorite side mission of all of Breath of the Wild is trying to create Tarrey Town. And I know some people might find it annoying because you do have to get a bunch of things for this. Eventually, Tarrey Town does play a very big role in the game because once a specific weapon breaks, you can only buy it there. And on top of that, you can even have Link have his own house, and you can decorate inside with the weapons that you might not want to use because they're special or whatever it is. Breath of the Wild's missions will always be memorable. So in Breath of the Wild, there are a bunch of weapons. They have all sorts of swords, clubs, spears, and two-handed weapons. They even have over 30 shields and 20 bows for you to pick. Each weapon you choose from has different durability, and some are stronger than others. The weapons can break if you use them for too long, and in my opinion, this is a great addition to the game. It keeps the gameplay fresh and not like other games where once you have the best weapon, you're never switching out of it. It makes you, the player, take a different approach into each and every single fight if your weapon does end up breaking in the middle of the fight and you have a horde of enemies chasing you. Bows are another popular thing in Legend of Zelda games. They have a huge variety of bows, and like swords, you get them from fighting specific enemies. They have regular arrows as well as some with some really good abilities. You have shock arrows which make the opponents literally get electrocuted, ice arrows that make enemies freeze, and bomb arrows, they make everything explode. The best duo in the game is the Hylian Shield and the Master Sword. The Master Sword is an unbreakable weapon which you can upgrade through trials, and the Hylian Shield has a lot of durability. You could only find it in Hyrule Castle, but once it's gone, you can just buy it at Terrytown, which you build off of a side mission. One major thing that is very random to the game is the fact that some weapons you pick up or get by eliminating enemies will have a buff to them. Some of your weapons will either have extra durability, extra arrow shots, and even more damage. With the huge sandbox of weapons in this game, the gameplay is literally endless. As you're playing, you'll see that your weapons inventory is essential because you need to have backups in case of you losing swords or bows during a battle. And that is where Korok seeds come into play. There's over 900 of them. The only way to get them is by solving this really small puzzle, or sometimes you could just pick up a rock and they're there. Once you get the Korok seed, you go to Hetsu and you could upgrade any of the 3 slots you desire. And trust me, when I say there's a Korok seed probably 25 to 75 feet from you, it's everywhere. You just have to be on the lookout. Armor is one of the things that is essential to the game's story. While exploring Hyrule, different parts of the world have different weather that affects the game and your character's overall health unless you have the right gear. Armor gives you better defense, and some have boosts that help you climb faster, get your stamina quicker, and some are just overpowered. My favorite one is the Barbarian armor, because if you have the Barbarian armor, it gives you such a good attack boost. It's beautiful. One of my favorite things about this game is that you can upgrade your armor by going to specific fairies in the game. There are a grand total of 4, and getting all 4 will help you level up your armor to the highest possible tier, and buffing your armor helps you out in every way. And the best part about it is that there is a side mission to finding each one of these fairies, or you could just run into them. In the beautiful world of Hyrule, there are a lot of enemies, and there are many that you can avoid. Trust me, I'm an expert at that. Whenever you're playing Master Mode, I'm a chicken. I'm not gonna go out there and fight enemies, you know? The 4 main bosses that affect the game's story are the Divine Beasts, and they are probably the hardest ones to defeat. But the rest of the open world introduces you to a wide variety of enemies. You have some really simple enemies to defeat, such as bokoblins, moblins, and the lizard looking dudes, but there are actually some really tough and challenging enemies. You have guardians, which shoot out beams of light at you. You have the Hinox, which I'm not even sure I'm saying that right, but it's this giant troll with a huge eye. And then you have the one and only Lynels, which are probably the hardest ones on the list. It's like a man and a horse put together with a huge arrow and a 6-pack. It's a fantasy. Most enemies have a hard version to them, and in this case, the gold of any enemy is the hardest one. They drop specific loot that gives you either really good shields, swords, and items which you can use later on in the game. On the topic of loot, let's actually talk about cooking in Breath of the Wild, because essentially everything you pick up in the world of Hyrule you can use to your advantage. And every time you see an animal and you kill them, you do get either chicken, you get meat. Meals that you cook all have different buffs besides giving you hearts. It depends on how you cook them and what you cook them with. There are different items that give you buffs that help you against heat resistance, cold resistance, ability to get your stamina back, and much more. And whenever you do get monster parts, you can actually cook these monster parts and make these elixirs that also help you out with other things in the game. When I look back at it, Breath of the Wild has to be one of the best RPGs I've ever played. Some of my favorites are Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy VII, and even Pokemon. But Breath of the Wild is unique because of its open world and its mechanics. I truly feel like this game was the first of its kind, and many other games tried to mimic or have an open world style element because of how successful this game was. With Tears of the Kingdom coming out in just a few weeks, I think we should all love how great of a game this was and how the possible future of Zelda games will be like. If you love the Breath of the Wild, tell me what was your favorite thing about it in the comments. And also let me know if you're getting Tears of the Kingdom, because that game is going to be fire. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you guys want to check out another video like this, I made one on Splatoon 3 and why it's a great game. If you guys would love to subscribe to help the channel out, that would honestly be amazing. And I am trying to reach 10K before the end of the year. And if you guys do want to become a member, I do appreciate that as well. I'll put that down in the description. If you guys want to see a lot more Tears of the Kingdom content, I hope you guys will be around for it, because I got some pretty good stuff cooking. With that being said, I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!